Hello, and welcome to Plus 3 Podcast. We have John, me, which is Christina, and Evan. If for those of you who've never tuned in before, we're a podcast that focuses on video game reviews, weekly news, and occasionally we do special things. Last week we had Evan playing Hellblade.
Yes, sir.
So he'll be talking about that this week. And we'll start it off with John.
Hi.
Hey, John.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I've been doing okay.
Okay.
No, this week I've been playing a game called Singularity. And I installed it. I played maybe 5 minutes of it. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to play this game. Uninstalled it. And then you know me, I just literally think about that game that I just uninstalled and was like, no, I have to finish it now that I played it. So I installed it. And man, this game is actually great. Singularity was made by Raven Software. It's their last game that they made, their original IP, before they went on to help make Call of Duty games. So I think they just did Black Ops 4 with Beanox and Raven. But yeah, I think so. But yeah, this game's really cool. It's a first-person shooter. And at first, when I started playing it, it really felt like a Call of Duty game. I feel like they're using that same engine that every other Call of Duty is using. It's just the way that it played. I'm like, okay, this seems similar. Like the knifing, everything was just basically called Call of Duty all the way. I was like, oh, all right. So anyways, I got further into it. I got farther than what I was before I uninstalled it. And yeah, this game's great. This game really was. It's one of those games that just went under my radar, and I had it in my collection. I always wanted to play it, but there's always games that I'll play before it. But yeah, this game's really, really good. It's all about like time manipulation, and you could use a lot. It shows off a lot of physics in the game. It's when a lot of games wanted to show off a lot of the physics and like what they could do and stuff like that. But yeah, so the game Singularity, start off, you land on this island and you receive a time manipulation device which can manipulate time. You can like pick up items, kind of like the portal gun from Portal. And you use this time manipulation weapon. I'm gonna actually call it the TMD because that's what they call it in the game, because I don't want to constantly say the time manipulation.
I personally think you should
say that like 5 times, please. I appreciate that.
It's really annoying. But yeah, so the TMD, you use it for like puzzles. You can certain items in the level, you can basically make them come back to, like, if there's like a broken crate, you can bring it back to a normal state, and you can open up that crate and you can receive items like ammo, med kits, anything like that. And then there's certain items that you can use for puzzles. So like there's like a barrel, and you can like crush it all the way down, and you can bring it through a wall, and then you can like put it underneath a door and then bring it back, and then the can will like basically turn back into like a normal size can, and it will open up the door. It's really, really cool. Like the way that I'm explaining it just probably sounds like complete shit, but it's cool how they use the whole physics based for it. Yeah, I know, Evan, but like,
yeah, like John, like work on your like reviews. Your reviews are shit.
Yeah, you could also use the TMD device on enemies, so you can basically make them just melt away, which is always so cool to see the animations for it. It's just it's really, really cool. And the one thing I really noticed in this game too was the weapons. You start off with like a pistol and then the shotgun and stuff, and I was like, okay, it's just going to be one of those, military type games where you just get the machine gun and everything like that. But the further you get into the game, the more weapons that you get, they're way different. Like they're not just your generic like rocket launcher or whatever. there's a gun that you can get where once you shoot, you basically can control the bullet. So it goes into like that bullet.
Like slow-mo?
Yeah, it's like in slow-mo. It's kind of like in Max Payne where you shoot the sniper rifle. Yeah, like Sniper Elite as well.
Hell yeah. Headshots and Sniper Elite are the crap.
Of the crap.
They're the crap,
Of the creme de croup.
So you can control these bullets, and once they hit an enemy, they explode. And I just thought that it was super cool to just be able to shoot this gun and then be able to control the bullet around the corner and be able to hit enemies that are hiding from you and stuff. So that was really cool. And then there's also a grenade launcher where if you shoot, you could just shoot the grenade launcher and it will just explode automatically. Or you can actually shoot the grenade will land on the ground, and then you can actually control the grenade where it wants to go. So it's kind of like a small ball in the level, and you can control it. And then once it reaches its destination, you can just press E and it will just explode.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
So it's like a throwable.
Yeah, exactly.
A throwable that you can ignite, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a Gatling gun, which seemed pretty cool. Just most of the weapons were fun to use, and especially like further on in the game, you're just like you're using the TMD, you're using the Gatling gun, you're using the sniper rifle, which can slow down time, and you can like pick off like headshot after headshot after headshot. It was just really cool. And then with the weapons, you can actually reach these areas where you can upgrade the weapons. So you unlock these upgrade items, or you pick up these upgrade items, and then once you reach this area, you can upgrade any weapon that you have. So eventually I was able to upgrade the Gatling gun and the sniper to have like the most damage. So eventually I just started using those two for the rest of the game. But I thought that was really cool. It kind of adds, more flavor to the weapons. Like the shotgun just what seemed more powerful and just was like blowing people's legs off and stuff. The weapons in this game kind of reminded me of like Resistance in a sense. What else could you do? You could also level up your abilities, so you can level up like the health, the more time that you have with like slowing down time, the abilities with your time manipulation device. You can like upgrade that to make it so that you can use it more on enemy. You can actually use your TMD device to transform an enemy into like a monster, and then it will like kill all the other enemies in the room. But then eventually, once they kill all the enemies in the room, they'll just come towards you and try to kill you. So like, you can add a bunch of those enemies like monsters into the level, but then you have to worry about them coming after you. So you have to be really careful and, make sure that you're ready to kill them, because they're way stronger. Also, the game is really gory. Like I was saying, like you can blow people's legs off with like the shotgun, and just the grenades when they like explode, the ragdolls are flying everywhere. Body parts are flying everywhere. Like halfway through this game, I was amazed. I was like, I can't believe I haven't played this game. Like it's just amazing.
So when was this game released?
I can't remember. It must have been like 2008, I want to say, or maybe 2009. I'm not too sure. I never looked into it.
Because this must have been, like, just judging by the way that it uses physics and stuff, like you said, there's a lot of controlling projectiles, controlling bullets, controlling grenades.
Yeah.
To add control to like physics objects like that, it sounds like it's pretty complicated. So this game sounds, well, if that's really the time that it got released, it sounds pretty ahead of its time.
Yeah, it's
a lot of
really good.
Deep use
like
of
I
physics.
And especially too with like Activision, like actually making a new IP. Well, not Activision, but Raven. It's super cool. Like I wish that they weren't with the Call of Duty, like making Call of Duty games, because I would be so interested to see what they could do.
Well, they did Thief Deadly Shadows. I remember that. That was like a really major. Yeah. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, Singularity was released June 29, 2010.
Oh, 2010. So yeah, I was 2 years off.
Okay.
That was a while ago.
It was a long time. Yeah, but it's so good. And then like, I think Raven too, they made Wolverine Origins, which was actually a great game. That game was pretty gory too.
Oh, for the PS3? I've yet to play that one.
That's the dungeon crawler type one, right? Well, it's sort of like a dungeon crawler.
No, right?
No, it's like based off the movie.
FPS or third person?
No, it's like a third person hack and slash game. But like that game was pretty cool. But like, yeah, Raven, I feel like if they went back to just making their like IPs, like new IPs, it'd be amazing. I'd be really excited to see what they could do.
Yeah, I remember them not putting games out that often, but whenever they do, they're like really unique stuff.
Yeah.
Activision's more sport now, right?
No, Activision is just all about Call of Duty.
Activision, yeah. Well, they used to be all sport.
Oh, okay, they used to be, I guess.
They just all they care about is the money that's coming through with Call of Duty.
Like they published all the Tony Hawk games.
Yep. Yes.
That's one of and anything. Of
Even Tony Hawk, Pro Skater 5.
Yep, they did.
The reason why they did that though is because they knew that the contract was running out with Tony Hawk, so they rushed to make a game before that contract was up, and that game was shit. But the thing is the people who actually developed the Tony Hawk games, Neversoft, they were the ones that first created the Tony Hawk games, and then once Neversoft basically transformed into a development team for Call of Duty, so Neversoft basically died, and then they gave the rights to Tony Hawk to what is it Evan? Not Destructoid. I forget what it's called.
Robomoto?
Something like that. And man, they just they bombed that.
Yeah, they're
like, so bad.
Like it was interesting to have them make the Pro Skater HD, the spin-off game there for like 6th gen consoles, whatever it was, 360 and PS3. But
yeah,
to put them in charge of a new one, yeah. Anyway,
yeah. There's also a multiplayer for Singularity, but it's still running, but like the servers are still up. But I wasn't able to get any games in. It's basically a ghost town. No one would you would have to just get a bunch of people together and be able to play it. But it's just 2 game modes, just regular like team deathmatch, and then I think there's another mode where it's like kind of like domination or like control mode, capture the flag maybe, I don't know. But the game's not too long. It took me 8 hours to beat, so it's not a long game, but it's cool. The story is really good.
8 hours for a campaign?
Yeah.
That makes sense, though.
Short.
That makes sense because of how much detail you're talking about it having. Because there's any game out there that has like several dozen hours of gameplay, like a single player game.
Yeah.
It seems to be a pattern that the game is pretty hollow and it's mostly just shoot 'em up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really linear. Like it's just basically get from point A to point B.
That's not true. Naughty Dog did it with Uncharted.
Yeah, but that's
more hours. It's like 20 hours.
Yeah,
There's some good.
Yeah. But one cool thing I want to mention, I forgot to mention about the game is when you land on this island and you get the TMD device, you can find splits in the world, and basically so the island that you are on used to be like a Russian base. So then when you go, you can basically go back into time and you can basically change the outcome. So you find out that this scientist is dead, so you have to go back into time and save him. So when you go into this room, he's about to get killed, and once you kill the guy, like the assassin, he will actually be alive whenever you go back to the real world, like the present time, and then he can work with you and everything. So it's really cool how you're in the present time, you can go back into time and change things up. And it's just really cool because like when you're on the island in present time, the world is all destroyed and kind of dark, like the monsters are there. And then when you go back into time, you're going against like Russian people, and it's just all basically you against humans. And then when you go back to the present time, it's a mixture of like humans and monsters. So all these people who died in the past basically turned into these monsters, and which makes the game, it's really cool. Like the game starts off as like a horror, like there's a lot of horror, and then when you go back into time, it's just like an action game. It's like, all right, it's cool. Like it's basically like Wolfenstein. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. You guys should definitely check it out. It's probably dirt cheap on Steam.
And it's making more sense now why it's only an 8-hour campaign. It sounds like they crammed a lot of really crazy shit into it.
Yeah, it was really cool. Well, really hard too, actually. Like on like I tried playing it on the hardest difficulty, and I was like, no, this is pretty challenging. And I just turned it down to normal because I actually want to beat it.
Nothing's enjoyable at the hardest difficulty.
Really?
You
Yeah.
can't appreciate the gameplay.
It
For
depends.
your first playthrough, I don't think so.
It depends. I really enjoy playing. So the reason why I like playing on the hardest difficulty is that it kind of gives me like more game for my buck. Like I pay $80 for a game, and if I play it on the hardest difficulty, I'm getting my money's worth in a sense.
For sure, but it just unless it's so difficult that you're doing one area like 40 times, like that.
Oh
to
yeah,
me is
yeah.
very
That's
frustrating.
really annoying. But like it wasn't like too hard. It was just like I got stuck at a part where I didn't realize I can go to this area and pick up the guns. It's like this little like crate or like a locker, and every gun that you unlock in the game, you can actually go to it and then change the guns that you have. So I just had a pistol in this one area, and then I didn't realize I can actually equip the guns like a shotgun or whatever. So I just kept on going forward. And then it got to this area where I had to kill a bunch of these like monsters, but I only had a pistol. And then eventually I just ran out of ammo and then just was like knifing them. And then they were just killing me like really easily. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? And then I realized, yeah, I completely missed that tutorial. That's another thing. Like, people complain about tutorials in games, but like, they're really important because I completely fucked myself during that time.
There's certain games, like especially in the past, the tutorials really matter because like
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of info online on how to play them and stuff.
Yeah, definitely check that game out. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. Evan, I really think you would like it because it's just a linear, straight up action game.
It's a linear action game that has taken advantage of the technology at the time, which is exactly the kind of game that I like.
Yeah, it did really well. Like the reviews and everything did really well, but no one bought it. It was just during that time where
Well, it ages well, so like people who are interested in that type of game will still play it, and it's obviously it's kept to it, like it's playable.
I'm just happy that I reinstalled it and stuck with it, because if I didn't, like obviously I wouldn't even be talking about this game. So kids out there,
All
don't
you
judge
little
a
youngins.
game. Don't judge a game by the 5 minutes that you played.
That's right.
Obviously.
Even though Steam has a sweet policy on returns where you can play it for 5 minutes and return it immediately and get your money back.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's what I discovered today. Well, according to what John told me.
Well, that's cool.
Yep.
But,
5 minutes.
Well, yeah.
And then I played one more game, and Evan, you're gonna howl at this actually, because I remember how every time you're like, oh man, like seems like every other game that you're playing is 8-bit and has a lot of pixels and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played a game called 198X, and it was released on June 20th, 2019, and developed by High Bit Studios.
Wow.
And man, this game is fucking cool. It's like 2 hours long, but the way that they did it was just it brings a lot of nostalgia back. Like when I was younger, and you went to the arcades and everything like that. But the game is about a teenage kid coming of age through video games, like finding an arcade filled with rejects, misfits, nerds. He doesn't really know what he wants to do in life. He doesn't have any friends in high school. When you go to high school, people show their true colors. And so he's kind of stuck in this area where he doesn't know what he wants to be or what to do. And his parents, his dad, I guess, passed away. So he's just like in this state right now where he just doesn't know. He doesn't know he's just depressed and just doesn't know what to do. And he finds an arcade area, and he goes down these stairs, and it's just filled with arcade machines and just like a bunch of like I said, like misfits, rejects, all them. And they're just sitting there playing games, like getting along, and he's just like, the fuck, like this doesn't make any sense. Like usually in high school, like these people are not even like together. So the cutscenes in the game are all pixelated, and it's a really cool design. Like there's not a lot of like animation in it and anything, but like it's such a cool concept. Like the photos that they use for it's all pixelated, and the colors are really good. the way the game works is like it tells you a piece of the story. So let's say, for example, he finds the arcade, and then he plays one of the arcade games, and basically what you do in the game is you actually play that arcade game that he's going to. So like the first game is like a racing game, or like a Streets of Rage type game. So it's basically, you know, you're a character, you walk to the right, you beat up a bunch of people, and then you pick up weapons. And then once you beat that, every game, basically every level is like it takes like 5 minutes. And once you're done that level, it tells you more of the story, and then basically puts you right back into another game. So like the 5 games that are in this one is Streets of Rage, it's like a beat 'em up, so kind of like Streets of Rage, a racing arcade game like Cruisin' USA, a 3D like an RPG type, so it's like Dungeon Master, and then a ninja game, which is like Shinobi, and then a shoot 'em up spaceship game, kind of like R-Type. So you play all these games, and they're really detailed. Like I wish those games were actually longer.
But you like 5 different games?
Yeah. And like every time you beat one of those games, you unlock like more of the story. It's wild. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's fucking cool. You just get so
the games, like what types are they? Like platformers or?
So certain ones are like so like the spaceship one's kind of like R-Type. So you're like the spaceship, and you're going like you're on the left side of the screen. It's all 2D basically, and ships are flying in on the right side of the screen. You have to shoot them. And then there's like a ninja one where your character is constantly running towards the right side of the screen, and enemies are gonna pop up, and you have to like hit them, and you have to jump up and down to like dodge different attacks. The only one that I thought was all right was like the RPG, for like the 3D RPG, like Dungeon Master type. It's just basically like you walk up, an enemy pops up, and you have like 4 different abilities. You can like heal, attack, do a bunch of other shit, and you level up. It was kind of boring, but like the racing one's really cool. Like if you've played a lot of the old school games, like at the arcade, like Cruisin' USA, it literally plays like that, but just with their own like graphics and all that stuff. It's fucking
cool. I'll definitely have to check this out.
Yeah. I brought a lot of like nostalgia base. So I was just like, man, like I remember going to the arcades and like playing this game, or like the Shinobi one was the one that I loved the most. And the music in that game is fucking cool. It's so good.
I'd be interested in the Streets of Rage one. I remember I played a lot of Streets of Rage when I was younger. Yeah,
the only downfall is that these like games that you play inside this game, it's really weird, but they're only like 5 minutes long. And like once you die, you don't get a game over or anything. It's like putting an extra coin in, and then you just respawn. And
how many coins, or like how do you get coins?
You don't get coins. It's just it's a thing that's just like insert coin. You just hit enter.
Oh, so it's like unlimited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it really is meant to just show you the story. That's what this game is all about.
Yeah, it's all about the story. It kind of
it's probably like it's kind of like your portal to an arcade area with a bunch of like people from high school, and you're going through like a very short, like why didn't they make it longer, or like added DLC where you can do like more stuff?
It started off as like a Kickstarter, and it passed their Kickstarter goal.
Or where you can like, or sorry to interrupt, but or you can like individually play these games kind of thing.
Yeah,
like
you can.
Post story.
So when you beat the game, you can basically choose the game that you want to just replay.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
It's not like you have to play the game over again to play all those games. Like once you unlock that game, you can just replay it as much as you want. You can like there's like a high score too. So I guess like with the achievements on Steam, you can like you have to hit a high score for it to get it, and maybe there's secrets in it. I never noticed.
Is there a leaderboard as well, like online?
I believe so. I think there is a leaderboard. Yeah. But yeah, the game is really cool. I was really hoping that they would have the original soundtrack for it, like on Steam or on Spotify, but sadly they don't. But they're working on it right now. But like the game ends on a cliffhanger, because it's only like 2 hours long, but it's a cliffhanger, and basically they're already working on a sequel, like a chapter 2 for it, and it's going to come out in 2020, also next year sometime.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think more games should do that, where it's kind of like you play something and then at the end you play all these cool little mini games.
Yeah, no, it's all like, it's just cool how they do it. They add in art, like you could tell that they worked really hard on it, and just the pixel, like the graphics on it, like the artwork for the game, the soundtrack, like you could just tell they put a lot of love into it. And I'm so happy that I was able to play it, and I definitely want to recommend it for you guys to just try it.
Like one
How much was it?
I think it goes for like $17 on Steam. I could be wrong on
That's
that.
not bad.
But yeah, it's definitely check it. It'll definitely, if you guys went to the arcades a lot, and it'll just bring a lot of nostalgia back. Just be like, man, I remember playing a certain game like this back in the arcade, and yeah, I can't stress enough. Check it out. It's called 19X.
Frequent for us, where we play like all these nostalgia-based games. That's what every company's doing right now.
Arcade games are basically my favorite ones. Like they're the ones I gravitate to the most.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of that, Super Meat Boy 2.
Oh, yeah?
I don't think none of us have played that.
Is
that out yet?
I don't even think it's out yet.
That's not out yet.
Boy,
yeah, those are great games you played, John, this week.
Yeah, no,
Singularity, like definitely, I'm gonna try that out as well.
Yeah, if you want a linear, well, because we were just talking about how you are tired of kind of like playing a game. It's like Crackdown 3, for example, and you're like, oh, like I kind of want to play a game that's not open world, and it's so hard to play a game that's not open world nowadays because almost every game has an open world sense to it, right? And so Singularity would be perfect, especially like old games like that, like Singularity, Time Shift. Like if it's just super linear, point A to point B, a lot of action to it. Check it out.
Yeah, I'll check that out. But speaking of open world games, the only game I'll be talking about is Rage 2.
Oof.
I was really excited for this game because Avalanche Studios basically worked on it, and they made Mad Max, which for those of you that don't know, that was on PS4, Xbox.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Same studio. Okay.
On PC as well.
Yeah.
And
They also do Just Cause.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, Just Cause.
They did a really good job with Mad Max. I mean, there's some flaws, obviously, and there's a lot of issues with it at the start of it, and then they updated it. But they do really good Wasteland games, and I really want to check this out. Of course, id Software, and then published by Bethesda. It's a random game to remake. Like, I don't know if anyone's played the first Rage, but that's also
I did
a Wasteland game. There's a lot of kind of bland just disadvantages to that game. Like
the color.
The color was awful. The only thing that saved it was kind of just the combat.
Yeah.
The combat always is good with Rage. So I just was like, really, they're gonna remake this? But from playing Rage 2, I understand. Like, this game is totally worth the money. Maybe wait till it goes on sale, of course, but I really enjoyed it. And it just came out recently, May 14th, this year. And
did you hear about so there's rumors saying that the reason why they kind of remade Rage 2 was that Avalanche Studios was going to make a Mad Max 2 game. So they had all these assets for it, and then basically they're like, fuck it, let's just make Rage 2. So I feel like a lot of the assets that are in Rage 2 are for Mad Max 2.
Well, not only did they use content that they had left over, they also used like borrowed ideas from most iconic shooters, which is really helpful, and it feels familiar. Like, why not release a game with something that they can do a little bit better? And obviously people are going to like it because it's familiar. And there's actually a good story to it. A story that's kind of more invested at the start of the game rather than kind of in the open world.
That's kind of good.
Which is fine, because like the first hour you kind of want to be invested in the story, and then you want to be like, I want to go around and just shoot a bunch of people, which is fine. So like buy the game, don't focus on the story, focus on like the combat, and that's what's more enjoyable. But for the story that people are wondering, it's basically you start off choosing if you want to be male or female, and you're called Walker. So I went female, and you're essentially going against authority. And the authority are well equipped, and they have different types of enemies, whether it's you're on ground, with just enemies that wear armor, or there's even air enemy, like little flying drones kind of. And then bigger enemies, such like huge giants and different mechanical enemies. And of course, what's popular in these Wasteland games are vehicles. Vehicles are super souped up, very familiar to Mad Max movies and video game. And you're just running around the open world to fight the authoritarian force. The map itself is quite small compared to the new open world games that they have out there.
Well, hang on though. How good is the open world though itself? Because I know Rage 1, or the original Rage, had
not
like,
as bland.
Yeah, because
there's a lot of like road stops like that you go through that they kind of force you to interact with. Like they'll have like
enemies and stuff. Like
at a highway crossing, there'll be a bridge, and then there's a bunch of enemies there that have a lookout.
Oh, so
or if
like
you
Far Cry
go
2.
to like high points of the map, like so the top of cliffs or hills or mountains, there's like another lookout and there's enemies, and they kind of integrate some of the side missions there. Locations that have question marks on the map, so when you pass through, it'll pop up and tell you what it is, and you can stop there with your vehicle and go. And it's not a game, forewarning, that you can walk everywhere or run.
Yeah, you
would not want to sprint in that game. Like there's nothing really that you can loot. There's like, it's not worth it. It's a game where you drive your vehicle and you kind of stop, kind of thing, which they did it. Avalanche did in Mad Max. Like rarely do you actually like sprint, because you'd be sprinting for hours. But I mean, in that sense, the story is more like a prologue. So what they make you do is you have to seek characters around the open world that will join forces to defeat the authority. And the main missions are kind of at each character point where you have to do a difficult challenge. And most of the time is you go in and shoot a bunch of guys, and you kind of did a favor for that person. And these people will help you just clear out the authority in the wasteland. And that's the whole story. So I'm not going to tell you what the story is for the first hour, that all the cutscenes and stuff, but that's the most interesting part. And then the fun, the whole combat style is super fun.
You get like new abilities too, right?
Yeah, so I'll go into that. So the main missions are just challenges that you have to complete that are quite difficult. And then there's a lot of side stuff. So go around the whole wasteland finding arcs. And when you reach your arc, it's mostly filled with a lot of enemies, depending on the difficulty level. So each thing that you actually go to will give you a meter gauge of saying how difficult it is. And I think it goes up to 12. But when you first start out, even enemies that are like difficulty 3 was quite hard. Like John was laughing at me, and he ended up having to do it for me. Like the very first outpost was like a difficulty of 3.
MLG. I'm the best.
And I just couldn't pass it, because you start off with a standard AR pistol, and they're both not upgraded. So starting off with a AR and a pistol, I mean, going against harder enemies was hard. So I found that you have to kind of go around to the less difficult side missions. But for when you do go to an arc, it looks like a huge techno chamber that was like pre-apocalypse times. And when you reach there and you go defeat all the enemies, you go to an area where you stick your arm in. It's this huge machine, and that gives you a new either ability or weapon. So at the start, you unlock ability that you basically have gravitational force when you melee. So you can push enemies up into any object. So walls, cars, anything. And they have great ragdolls.
Yeah,
which I know John
I
is
definitely
really important for him.
I definitely agree. Those ragdolls are fun.
Ragdolls where your head splatters against the wall was cool. Or you knee someone into a box. Yeah, you have this ability with this gravitational force. You can also upgrade that as well. But that's just an ability that you unlock. So later on, you can also unlock other weapons. Like these are elite weapons with different elemental abilities. Yeah, standard rocket launchers, shotguns. Those are all have to be unlocked.
You also have
finding them in the wasteland at arcs. So that actually makes you work for it. So for people that don't want to do the side missions, you'll be missing out on abilities and weapons. And they're saying, I mean, you could play the whole game with an AR and a pistol, but it'll be really hard.
Yeah.
And of course, people have done it. But if you want a more enjoyable experience where you can really use your creativity, I would suggest going for the arcs and clearing out. And you also level up XP, which of course unlocks other things for your characters.
You also have that overdrive ability too, where like you just become so OP'd and you just like blow people into pieces, which is cool.
I was gonna go through that later, but yeah, basically the overdrive system is when you do enough headshots or enough XP when you're shooting a bunch of people, you unlock overdrive, and as soon as you unlock overdrive, you boost up your health, and you automatically are like probably 20 times faster with your stamina, with your changing weapons, with your shooting. And it helps you when you're going through a wave of like 20 enemies that are surrounding you. It's very useful. Also, when your health is really low, it's good. It boosts your health and you can actually run away.
Or just dominate that whole
area.
Dominate,
yeah.
But I heard a lot of people were saying that like the beginning of the game, it starts off really slow. Like you have those abilities, and then you unlock them. But I heard that once you get most of the new abilities, when you unlock them in the open world, that's when it completely changes the game. Like you can there's a bunch of abilities that you, like I'm not too familiar with them, but the things that you can do, like there's one where like it shoots like black vortex and just sucks everyone in, and then basically when it explodes, it just launches all the enemies in the air, which are like ragdolls.
But these abilities, once again, have to be unlocked at the arcs.
Yeah.
And then you have to do like a training simulation for it, which is useful because then it trains you how to perform those moves. But also you can go to like the different sentries and bridges and nests that they have where you have to defeat enemies. And then they have sometimes like doors that you can breach. And then they have like all this loot there. So it has some advantages if you like to travel around the open world and stop by different areas and complete what they have there and get something at the end. It's got more progression to it. Like Rage, the first one, was very bland. It's very like, go to someone, do a favor, there you go. Like you get XP, and then you have like it's easier to complete the main missions. Like this has a little more progression than that. The weapon tree and the characters that you help out, also you can upgrade stuff for them. So by helping them out, they help you with all these different abilities that you can do. Like 30% faster sprint. Throwables, you can throw throwables. Like I was telling John today, I can throw 3 grenades in like 0.5 of a second. Like it's ridiculous. Like you get so souped up that like you don't even know what to do anymore. Like it's too easy.
No multiplayer, right? Because I know the first one had like a co-op.
I don't believe so. I didn't see any multiplayer.
Okay. That's fine.
But I mean, no, it's a very like it is open world, but at the same time it's linear. They really advertised it that it was like a wasteland that was very colorful, like very grungy, like lots of neon, lots of like punk enemies. But I didn't find that at all, actually. Like I found it still kind of bland color-wise. Like it's not as bad as the first Rage, but
you can only do so much with a wasteland setting, though.
Oh,
I know, that's what we were saying. Like you can't really do a good job with a wasteland. I mean, Borderlands 3 showed that you can, but not everything can be interactable. It doesn't make sense to have so many things in a wasteland.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only thing that I really wanted them to clean up is the weaponry and the menu system's awful. Like, it's not approachable, it's not familiar. Like, I find it kind of annoying, actually. Like,
you feel like maybe
they
you'd get
put
used
too
to
many
it?
steps to like upgrade stuff on your weapons or vehicles or characters. Like, they should have just kept it clean and simple. Like, I don't know if anyone's played State of Decay. Like, theirs is a little difficult too, but at least it's clean and like you know what you're doing.
State of Decay.
Like,
that
this game is
good.
just, like, it's not familiar at all. But that saying, once you do get a hang of it and you got all your upgrades unlocked, it's a great game. The combat is amazing. I was telling Evan today, like, the weaponry, like, weapons is perfect in this game. Feels right, it shoots right.
The shotgun looked pretty sick.
The shotgun actually even has a force to it, so once you shoot an enemy, they actually get flinged up in the air, and of course you get a nice Ragdoll.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Different things you can also upgrade is like health injections, throwables, so like grenades. They have like they're called a boomerang thing that's sharp.
Oh yeah.
What is it, a wing spread or something?
Wing, yeah.
Then you can also unlock new vehicles. And with Vehicles of the Wasteland, if you remember what Mad Max is, it's insane. You can add tons of guns on it. You can add mini nukes. You can add like what is it, like a light rifle? Like, you can add a bunch of stuff onto it. And of course, the vehicles can range from a small vehicle to a ridiculous huge like ice cream truck with a chair on it, an umbrella. Also, there's vendors around the map. You can buy intel that will tell you where all the abilities are, so where all the arcs are located and areas that you can unlock new weapons. So they do really let you to feel creative and freedom with it. And overall, like, it's much better than the original Rage. It's not for the storyline, but the combat alone and visuals, like, you're gonna enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah, it looks really fucking cool. I definitely want to try it.
It's very similar to Doom with a little bit of open world. So it's not a big commitment to play. Like, I don't think I'll play more than 12 hours.
They've been constantly updating the game too, and I think too you can add cheats to it. So you can add like a different, like all sorts of different cheats to like make the game a lot better. Like, it's just, they don't even care. Like, most games are like, oh, cheats, no, like, let's put that in microtransactions or whatever. But like, they just fucking were like, yeah, have fun with this game. Like, if you guys are done with this game, add the cheats into it. Like, make the characters go flying or like really high in the air.
From what I've played, it's very smooth. Like, I haven't really encountered a lot of bugs or glitches. Like, to me, it's smooth. Mad Max was awful. It was a nightmare. Avalanche did it. They should have not released that game when they did. Like, a lot of glitches. Like, I remember it reminded me when I played what's that game for the first time?
I don't know. What game?
What game was it?
Did they make it?
It's like GTA, but set in the 70s.
Oh, Mafia?
Yeah, Mafia. That game was full of bugs. Like, I remember there was like 3 missions I couldn't do for like 2 months till they fixed it, patched it. Mad Max, they didn't even patch some of the stuff that I couldn't complete in like 100%.
Yeah, you were stuck at.
I was like so close. I was like 89%, or no, even closer, like 96% to completing the game. 4% they just refused to patch. I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, this game, Avalanche did a great job. I think they got a lot of shit from the last game that they came out with. So I'm really proud of them. It's a great game, and I feel like not a lot of people, once again, are playing that game.
Yeah.
It could be because Rage was kind of a flop when it came out. I remember way back when it was like, I think it was the last game that John Carmack did when he was with id Software.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
it
released
was.
Doom 3, they released Quake 4, and then I think Rage came out after or in between those two.
Did they make Quake 4? I don't think so.
They farmed out the engine to
yeah. I think that was was it Raven that made that game? It may have been
Raven, actually, yes.
Yeah.
But with Rage, I think Rage was their own in-house development, so they were working on Doom 3 and Rage. But Rage was like, it was so far away from what they've ever done that I think they kind of flopped at it.
Yeah, and also I think the engine that they were using had a lot of issues. Like, it had a lot of pop in and outs, and the textures would kind of disappear and be all shitty, and the frame rate was not that great.
It may have just been because the engine was optimized for Doom 3, so they tried doing something radically different like Rage, and it didn't work the way they wanted it to.
They also added it to the consoles as well, too, right? So they probably were trying to make it work.
Well, they had to downgrade it. It's a lot of work, I think, to make for playable for PC and console, because it's such a big what is it called?
Well, yeah,
downgrade.
Yeah, because like PC, you could do so much with it, especially with like the horsepower that you have now. But then when you have a console that's like 5 years old, you're like, fuck. Now we need to kind of
with the new
for that.
PS5, like they're able to probably do even better.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm excited for that. That's it for Rage 2, right? You only played Rage 2?
Yeah, that's it for Rage 2. That game is, I mean, I'm not done it, but I'm like almost half of the world. And I'm enjoying it. I'm going to finish the last half for sure. And I don't know if I'll get the DLC, but we'll see.
It sounds really cool. I definitely want to give it a shot.
Another campaign game that I will probably play, but Evan got the chance, was Hellblade.
Mm-hmm.
Evan wants to take the reins on that.
Yeah, Evan. How was Hellblade, man?
Yeah, so through Humble Bundle, as I newly signed up for it and decided to try it out since John said, it's the greatest thing on earth. I believe it was my second month with Humble Bundle. It was last month, right? Was it July?
Yeah, it was, I think, 2 months ago.
Either June or July.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Either way, so they came with Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which is a single-player action game. I've been having trouble describing it. It's heavily narrative-driven. It's 100% about the story. The game doesn't really tell you a lot about how to play. It kind of trusts that you're going to figure it out, which is really interesting. The main purpose of the game is that you take the place of a woman called Senua, who is some sort of Norse warrior. The whole game takes place in like Norse mythology times. And so you're a person with some sort of version of psychosis or schizophrenia. And so you hear voices throughout the game. One of those voices is actually a person narrating Senua's story to the player. And then other voices are in Senua's head, so like kind of telling her what she's doing wrong and telling her what she's doing right and stuff. And really, like, you have to play this game with headphones on because it's all about the voices.
It sounds like a horror game.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna be scared.
It's not exactly a horror. It's not a scary horror game. More what it is just, it's kind of, it messes with you. Like, there's certain scenes in the game, I don't want to spoil too much about it, but there are events that kind of, everything is very visual in the game. Like, there's no like interface, there's no like from what I've seen so far, there's no like equipment system, there's no like compass system. It's just you walking through the environment, and you're mostly listening to the voices that tell you what to do. Like, you come across characters and then they become a voice in your head because they're not really there. They're there in one dimension that you're kind of leaking into. It's, again, very hard to explain. It's like you're also walking among the dead or something. I haven't gotten far enough into the game to figure that out. But essentially, you're listening for the voices. Voices are being mischievous to you, and they're emulating the fear portion, like the fight or flight portions of your brain that like schizophrenic people would hear. So, for example, a situation in the game, so you can make sense of it, because it sounds really confusing. You have to, in order to fight a certain boss, you have to start a fire in several different spots in the game. And part of what happens when you go visit these tomes to start the fires. And when you approach the tomes, and then you touch it to start the fire, the whole area around you is set aflame.
So that attracts the enemies? Is that why?
No. So there isn't necessarily enemies, but in this part, it becomes like a time event. And so the fire is set, and you have to make your way back to where you came from and leave the door. So you have to... There's no visual cues as to where you were. You actually have to remember the path you were going in. because again, the user interface is like not there at all. There's nothing going on. So you go and start these fires. You touch the thing, the fire starts, and the fire becomes like it creates walls around you. And so you have to like navigate the walls, and you have to try and see through the fire to where the ending is. If you take too long, you die. But what's cool is you'll hear the voices, like the voices kick in whenever she's afraid, basically. That's when you start hearing the schizophrenic voices. So when you start the first fire, the first time you ever do it, and you're having to run around to the entrance and stuff, the voices will be like, oh, she's going the wrong way, she's going the wrong way, she has to turn back. Like, you'll just be shouting that stuff in your ear. But then, so it makes you stop and think like, okay, wait, should I listen to the voices? I found myself doing that the first time. So like they were shouting like, she's going the wrong way, should we tell her? Or whatever. And then, so I was going forward and was like, shit, should I turn around? So I turned around, it made me second guess myself. And I started going the opposite way to where I came from, and it was blocked off. I was like, oh shit, really? Okay. And then I heard the voices. They kept saying like, go, go, you need to get out of here, go. But then I noticed they kept repeating like, you're going the wrong way, turn around. And so it takes you a second, but you're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on now. It's the fear just sending wrong messages into your ears kind of thing. So that kind of thing happens in the game to throw you off. And it really does, like, it invades your brain while you're trying to play. So
that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, that part of it is very cool. And
how's the combat in the game?
Yeah, so the combat, you do run into enemies, and the combat I find is slow. Like, that's the best way to describe it. Because the combat is designed to give you time to listen to the voices, because the voices also guide you in the combat. Like, you encounter enemies, and they're not like running at you and stuff like that. They're just kind of like ominously, slowly stepping towards you. And so you're kind of sitting there like, okay, I'm going to prepare to block, or I'm going to prepare to dodge. You know, like imagine big heavy dudes in any other game and they just slowly walk towards you. There's a lot of that so far. But what'll happen is you'll have multiple of the guys, and say there might be a dude behind you. The voice will kick in, it'll be like, behind you! And so you'll hear it in real time, so that gives you a cue to dodge. I think on purpose, it makes everything visually slow so that you can listen to the voices and stuff. And the voices end up being really helpful, and you have to count on them.
That's really cool.
Yeah, because it gets hard. Like, another big thing of the game is that it's sort of roguelike. So as you go through the game, each time you die, there's like a rot. They call it the rot, which is the main thing. You're actually it's a main part of the story. So you get infected with this rot the first time you encounter a monster, because the monster kills you in that dimension or whatever. And then so your part of your arm rots away, and the game tells you at that point that each time you die in this dimension, your real life, the rot will spread to you in real life. And then if it reaches your head, like from your hand all the way to your head, then you lose all your progress in the game and you have to restart. But
that's fucked.
Yeah, but it saves checkpoints in the game.
Okay.
And you can actually exit the game and go back, and you'll be where you were. But yeah, so each time you die in that dimension, I'm guessing the enemies only appear whenever you're in touch with that dimension, like the dead dimension or whatever.
Yeah.
And everything else that's happening otherwise is just you in reality, wandering alone. And the game really does make you feel like you're alone. That's one thing it does really well. So if there's any horror element to it, it's that. Because it's not like dark or dreary, and there's no like jump scares or anything, but it's the fact that you right off the get-go in this game, you're by yourself and you're with voices. That's the only thing that's going on. So it's very much makes you feel like you're in the mind of somebody who's suffering schizophrenia and psychosis.
Sounds like a really fucking cool game.
Yeah, and it's unique. Like, I'm definitely going to be playing more of it, and I'm going to see how deep it gets.
It's cool.
But it's also really lax too. Like, it's super linear. There's like slight puzzles involved, but again, you listen to the voices and they'll tell you everything. So you have to play this game with headphones, and you have to be able to listen.
Did you play it in the dark? Was it scary?
No, again, I wasn't scared. It's not the kind of game that is meant to scare you, I think.
It's more of a thriller, kind of.
Yeah, or it just makes you feel uneasy, I guess, as more.
Oh, like anxiety prone.
Well, like
type
imagine
of game.
Imagine a game where your cues were you had a bunch of voices just firing off in the headphones, and you're trying to listen to the voices and actually pick out which ones are helpful to you. Like that's the thrill of it. So it really it brings you into your own head a lot when you're playing the game. You can't just not think about it and look at the game like, oh, there's the thing, go to the checkpoint. No, it's like the voices are saying stuff, and you forget sometimes. Like you get so engrossed in the visuals and the controls.
So they're trying to immerse you like quite to what the character's actually feeling. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really unique thing I've never seen before in a game. And it definitely does, it emulates schizophrenia really well. Like that's exactly what it intended to do. And
which is an awful mental illness to have.
Oh yeah.
Because you're constantly in fear of the voices, of the hallucinations, of everything.
Yeah, and it gets really real. I think that's why it's considered more of a horror. It's because that is a really real situation for people, and
it's an uneasy time.
Yeah. Anyway,
it might even get way worse too.
Is there
like
the
further you get into the game, it might even get even crazier.
Is there a set difficulty, Evan?
So far, there are very little settings. Period. From the get-go, it doesn't tell you anything. The only time I had to, even in a battle, the first time you get into a battle, it doesn't tell you the controls. So you have to press the pause menu, and then it shows you like a little controller thing and it tells you what the controls are. But I don't know, like you don't care about that when you're playing the game. That's the interesting thing. It's very much a game that plays like a movie, so you're not thinking about playing the game so much. Like what your brain ends up doing is just looking around the environment, and it ends up listening to the voices.
That's cool.
Yeah, like it's really well designed. It doesn't feel like a game.
They also have so when we got this game for Humble Bundle, it also came with a VR version of it. Right. And I know you only have the PlayStation VR, but I wonder how crazy it is in VR. And I didn't even realize that it was in VR, actually, honestly.
So I wonder, like, it makes me wonder if they change it to first person, if it's going to be in VR.
Maybe, I don't know.
I can't really imagine what benefit it would be to be third person in VR.
Maybe they add different things for the VR version as well, with the voices and
directional voices. It would make it interesting. But I think the biggest effect it has is that all the voices, like for somebody with schizophrenia, from what I understand, you don't pick a direction out to be able to hear the voices. They're all just kind of mashed up in your head, and they all sound like they're right there.
And it's like sudden onset too. I think it like intermittently goes in and out.
Yeah,
it could be like when you're in fear, it probably comes right out.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does in the game. And you have situations like that where there's like several whispering voices all saying different things in the right ear and the left ear, and it makes you like slow down your pace while you're walking. You're listening for like, it'll say things like over there, over up the hill. It just says things like that. And then it also
is it bright? No, I keep going.
And it'll also, at the same time as one ear will be saying like, oh, go down there, it's down the hill, you'll find him down there. At the same time, it'll be like, you'll never find him. Just whispering things like that in your ear.
Oh, that would freak me out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Is it also like dark lighting as well, and like foggy? And
there's some of that, yeah. There's some parts where I think when you're dipping into the dead dimension, the world looks like it's getting dark and it's dying and like falling apart around you and stuff. And that's when the character gets really scared and the voices kick in. But the imagery hasn't scared me yet. It hasn't gone to a dark place yet. It's more or less just looked like a fantasy world, like a Skyrim type. It's a Nordic setting. So again, you're dealing with the Norse gods and Norse mythology. Like you're directly involved in that. You're one of the people living in the time of the gods. So the part of the story is it tells you there's like 9 different planets, and each one is hosted by a Norse god. The first one you have to see is Hela, and I can't remember the names of all of them, but they're all common in the mythology, so that's the setting of the game. So it doesn't get dark, really. I don't think it can get dark with that kind of setting. It ends up being more focused on the environment and like battles and stuff.
That's cool though. I definitely want to give it a shot and see.
Yeah, it's.
Is it a short campaign or?
It feels like it's progressing quickly, so yeah, I feel like it would be short, and like the most that it has to offer is with the voices and stuff. There's like number one is level design, and number two is the voices. Like those two things, they make up the game. I think. Other than that, the game would be pretty hollow. So I don't imagine them being able to fill the space with anything else. Like all the secrets of the game seem to be revealed. I don't see it being a very long campaign, no.
And it shouldn't be, really. I like that. Like, short and sweet. It's got enough in there.
Yeah. Like, it's a deep experience, so it shouldn't be too long. It'll lose its effect.
It's not a shoot. It's also not a shoot 'em up, which is great. It's more narrative based.
No, not at all. Like, at most, I think I'm about 3 hours in, and I've battled maybe 3 dudes at the same time. And they're...
So like a threesome?
Yeah, like it was basically a threesome.
Laid back lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth checking out. It's a unique experience.
Yeah, I definitely want to play it.
It's one of those
genre
genre
You're gonna
games.
keep playing it too, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna play that, and I'll be playing another game, which I'll be talking about next week, but I'll keep it secret for now.
Cool.
Sounds good. But you did play a shoot 'em up. Or no, you're gonna talk about a shoot 'em.
Yeah, we're gonna
coming out very soon that we'll get to try.
Yeah, we're gonna go into the news section now. This is new,
So,
guys.
Evan, what game is it?
So one thing I want to throw out there, because I've been keeping a hairy eyeball on this game again. So
I'm super pumped.
Modern Warfare. I've been seeing what's new and upcoming with this game. One thing we found out the other day is that the beta dates are now released. So for pre-orders, which you can do right now, there's a PS4 early access. They're the first ones to get the beta. So the PS4 early access beta for pre-ordered is September 12th to 13th. And the PS4 open beta is 14th to 16th. So PS4 gets it first, as is usual for Call of Duty, right? Then there's also a PC/Xbox One/PS4 crossplay early access beta.
Ooh, crossplay.
Yeah, so crossplay.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We can play with Xbox players. That's great.
Yeah, and PC can totally dominate them because that's what happens.
Well, the thing about that
PC's the
though
best.
is that you can actually, whenever the game comes out, you can pick if you want to actually play against PC players or not. Because obviously with PC you have the mouse and keyboard and like the mouse, so it'd be a lot harder. But you have control over it. It's not like if you go into a game, it's like,
But
oh, man, I'm playing
how do they do the crossplay? Like, how do you invite your friends? Like, do you have your friends list if you like link your Xbox, like your Microsoft account, or if you link your PSN account? Is that how they're doing it
Maybe.
with friends?
It would likely be the Blizzard friends list because Fortnite did. They used the Epic Games integration to do crossplay.
Oh, I
for
see.
Fortnite.
Okay. Yeah.
And you would invite people through the Epic Games.
Blizzard. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, so they must have some kind of Blizzard integration.
Mm-hmm.
Because Blizzard, the company's Blizzard hosts the game, and they host the servers for the game and all that. They're the publisher of the game. Well, are they the publisher or the?
No, Activision's the publisher.
But Blizzard is.
Maybe they just have the rights to the
Blizzard
online
isn't
portion, the
actually
crossplay.
So Blizzard doesn't have any part of this game.
No.
Infinity Ward is the developer of this game.
Oh right, I just
And
remembered.
then-
Actually, yeah. So
yeah.
Activision Blizzard, they're a merged company now.
Yes.
So Blizzard is part publisher of this game.
Yeah.
That's right.
And they're only basically used for the crossplay aspect in the online.
Yeah, it
Maybe
could be.
we don't know really yet.
Could be.
Yeah.
That's what it would seem like.
But yeah, they just had the conference for Call of Duty, and man, this game looks fucking cool.
So
yeah.
is it public open beta, or do you still have to have buy
Yeah.
the game?
So
well, no, the first dates that Evan gave you are the ones that are pre-order based.
early
So only
access.
people who only pre-order the game can play it for those 2 days, and then after those 2 days are up, that's when that beta goes open.
Oh, okay.
So
okay. I remember
everyone
they did
can
that.
play
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So again, for the crossplay one, I didn't get to the date. The early access, so for pre-orders, is September 19th to 20th. So that's when you can do the crossplay. aside from that, the open crossplay beta will be September 22nd to 23rd.
Question is, are you guys going to get it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely
Early
getting
access?
this game.
Oh, for early. I don't know if I'll pre-order it. I could probably wait for the beta.
You could technically pre-order with Best Buy and get it physically because they give you codes. So that way you have access to early access
Well,
as well.
no, they would
And
give
with pre-order, you could only put down like $5 if you wanted. Or is that EB?
That's
Games?
EB Games, but basically what you get, you don't get a physical copy. You get the code on your receipt because the game doesn't come out till October.
Yeah, I know, but you'll still have early access because you pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fine.
Well, Best Buy does this
You don't
thing
have to
too. I think. I remember when I pre-ordered the last game I pre-ordered was No Man's Sky. Believe it or not. Yeah. But I remember.
Great game, by the way.
Oh yeah. And there's news coming up about that as well, which I can't wait for. But anyway, I threw down $10 for that game because that's what I had to do, I guess. I don't know if that's just a Best Buy thing, but you put some money down towards the game. And I didn't get any code or anything like that. But then again, that's probably because there was no sort of early access element to the game.
Honestly, I might actually just do the pre-order thing because I know I'm gonna get it.
I know I will too.
I mean,
And if I don't like the beta where it's going, which obviously I probably will like it, I'll get the physical copy. So I might do that actually. Maybe I'll do it. I'll pre-order it online and just see what they. But that's the thing about Best Buy. If you pre-order online,
I don't think I'm gonna get it.
no.
It's just like a typical, like it does look really good. Like from what I saw from the trailer, it looks amazing.
You should
Like the whole
watch-
night vision, the aiming, lock-on system. Like I like it.
You should have watched the conference though. They showed a lot of stuff. There's like, so they showed off how the game now has. It's funny how I'm saying this. The game now has recoil in their guns.
Yeah.
So like you have recoils for certain guns, or all of them have recoil. Then you also have the night vision mode, which is really cool. They were really focusing on that. But I was telling Evan today, so there's certain, like, so you'll play your original maps, and then those same maps will have day and night cycle. Well, not cycle, but day and night versions. And the night versions, basically, you are only wearing the night vision goggles, and every gun that you're using has a laser sight. So instead of aiming down the sights, you basically can only use the laser sight. So when you,
which is pretty sweet.
yeah, it's fucking cool, and it's a really cool concept. And then they have a new game mode where it has 100 players, and people were,
is it Battle Royale?
everyone thought it was going to be Battle Royale, but it's
glad it's
actually
not.
similar to Battlefield. So it's going to be a huge open map with vehicles, tanks, and fucking tanks in Call of Duty. The last game that I had tanks in was World at War. So they're going to have tanks, ATVs, just a bunch of vehicles.
Oh, so it's like Warzone and Halo.
Kinda, yeah.
Wait, is there going to be CPU enemies like that you can also?
No, it's 100 players in this
So
map.
just players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't imagine
Okay.
the hardware would be able to handle 100 CPU players. That's a
No.
lot of
probably.
No,
Yeah,
like
really.
with Halo, I don't know if you've played their take on it. It's like, I don't know, like they have like 20 or 30 actual characters, like humans, and then there's like I don't know, like different like areas where there's a bunch of CPU enemies with like a boss that you have to defeat. At the same time, you're trying to defeat like the other enemy team.
Kind of like what's it? Titanfall.
So is it free for all 100 players, or you're like with teams?
It's team based, so it's going to be like a huge, I believe, kind of like Battlefield, where you have, you know, a bunch of players on each side, and then it's capturing maybe flags. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but it's just so cool how like they're just kind of being like, fuck the Battle Royale. Every game has that. Let's just kind of do a new thing. So
It sounds like it might be a conquest type thing. Like even if it's just something basic, like capture the points or whatever. Is that what they brought up? Okay, that's manageable. That's definitely, if there's going to be any kind of thing for 100 players to do in one match, it should just be capturing points. Like I think,
yeah,
that's the most enjoyable thing for 100 players to do. It shouldn't get too complicated.
yeah. And they also, I have it. I have an article up. I might as well bring it up now that we're talking about Call of Duty. But they also announced a new create a class system. So for starters, when it comes to the amount of weapons a player can carry, like, you know how, you can create a class and you can only hold 10 items or whatever, and then you have like a perk that can, like, you can hold like 2 primaries in battle instead of like a gun and a pistol, or a machine gun and a pistol. You can, like, it completely changes the whole game in a sense. Like, you can add a bunch of new, like, you know how you can only add, one optic, so you can maybe have like a holographic sight on it. Well, now you can add as many as you want, like 2 on there, so you can like switch, like have an ACOG and a holographic or a red dot scope on it. There's an average of like 30 attachments for like pistols and 60 attachments for other weapons like the AK-47, all that stuff.
It sounds like they're really making a lot of changes.
Yeah, and I think the guns have their own perks now. So like, remember how like, so you know how some of the other games had like wild cards?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and like the wild card would be like an overkill thing, so you can carry 2 weapons and stuff. Like it's I have to look into it more, but it's just crazy. Like, it completely changes the whole concept, and I just really hope they focus on it and make it so that like some of the guns are not like super OP'd when you do it, like more damage, like, or faster. Because I remember when Matt and I were playing Black Ops, the first Black Ops, we had a thing for a weapon where it was like double tap for the AK-74U and something else, I forget, and it was just like it was like shooting 2 AK-40 or 74Us at one person, but you're only holding one gun. It was just so OP'd, it was unreal. But yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff that you can look up for it, for like the create a class stuff.
That's cool.
They talk about like perks, they talk about like kill streaks, and actually I have a list of the kill streaks if you guys hear them.
Yeah, sure.
So
why not?
You have your regulars, UAV, care package. You have a cluster strike. You have a cruise missile, which I'm guessing is kind of like a predator missile, where you can control the missile where it lands. You have the precision airstrike. Wheelson? I have no idea what that is. Infantry assault vehicle. So it's kind of like a co-op kill streak. One player drives the tank and the player uses a gunner seat. So that's pretty fucking cool. You have the emergency airdrop, so 3 care packages or whatever. The VTOL jet, chopper gunner, white phosphorus, support halo, advanced UAV, which I don't know what that is, Juggernaut, which one thing about Juggernaut is when you're in the Juggernaut suit, it will play metal, like metal music. And
Nice.
So you'll be getting this, a shitload of metal like playing while you're like downing, like just killing a bunch of people. But then that music can also be heard from far away from other players. So now they'll know where you're coming. So if you have really good headphones or whatever, you can instantly know, okay, this guy's going to be behind this corner, like he's coming, so I'll go the other way and kind of sneak behind him and shoot the shit out of him. So that was pretty cool. And then the last one is the nuke. I guess the nuke is coming back. So I guess you need 32 kills in a row or whatever. But I'm fucking excited for this game. I think this is the first time I've been so excited for a Call of Duty.
It looks good. Yeah. It looks better than what they've been recently releasing, which has been garbage.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like this time they're actually really trying to care about realism, and they're trying to make it realistic.
They need to make something that's memorable and has longevity. Like, remember Black Ops 1? Oh yeah, that was a sick game. Like, played so many hours, played for like 6 months, wasted my whole life. These new games, play it for a week and you're over it. Like, it's time for them to like release quality games. And they're really focusing on releasing it year by year.
Sounds like they're getting there.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. I'm so pumped for it.
They better get their shit together. That's all I gotta say.
It looks like this time they finally are.
If they do a bad job on this, I think I've literally lost hope.
I don't think so. They've talked the game mode, like they added another game mode where it was like 2v2. So it's like a really small room, and then you're with, your buddy, and then you're against 2 other players. And literally this match will last like not even 2 minutes. You just go in, you shoot them, and then whoever, it's just so quick. And then if no one is actually killing anyone, then I think after like 3 minutes or whatever, the game will be like, all right, whoever's in the middle of the map first wins. So it's like it's just super fast paced. I could definitely see that being like in the in the tournaments, like the
esports?
Yeah, like esports.
It sounds like they're trying to accommodate. They're trying to bring in super casual players and trying to bring in people who will spend hours on a match. Like with the 100-player thing versus the 1v2 or the 2v2 thing.
Yeah,
like that's nuts. It sounds like a really ambitious project, and it sounds like it's really well researched.
Yeah.
For once.
They also got rid of the UAV, or not the UAV, the mini map.
Yeah,
like you and I were talking
so
about.
So it's gonna be hardcore the whole time.
Well, so like
maybe more hardcore, but not fully there.
Yeah, but like it just makes sense because every other Call of Duty played, I've always stared at that mini map, and like not really. It's like the main thing that I look at. But then now, like the UAV actually makes sense because like when you finally get the UAV, you're like, all right, cool. Let's turn on that mini map. That's when you dominate or whatever. But yeah,
so there is going to be a mini. Just have to unlock it.
You have to unlock it with a kill streak.
Only UAV.
That happens really quick. Like what, a minute in the game?
Yeah, like it'll probably pop up a lot.
Depends how good you are, because it depends on if you can get kills.
Well, there's always going to be someone on your team that gets like 30 kills, 40 kills.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But what can you do? It's all about who has time to play and who doesn't have time. Blah blah.
I'll definitely pre-order it though. Like Evan, you said you're pre-ordering it. You're gonna get it for PC.
Yep, I am. I will be pre-ordering it. That's a confirm.
If they convince me with the beta, I'll consider it.
Yeah, I'll definitely play it on PS4 and then play it on PC. Because my dad is a huge Call of Duty fan, so it would be really cool to just be able to play, online with him while I'm on PC and he's on the Xbox.
Oh, for sure.
So I think that'd be really cool.
And it's still all news, so once we actually play it, we'll have more opinions about it and so forth. But we have time for one more news, and I'll give it to John.
One more?
One more, yeah. We'll do one more.
Well, I could mention about... Well, I have one big one, I guess we could talk about, and then a small one. That's just really cool to let everyone know. But Crash Team Racing, Evan, microtransactions, it's coming.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Well, for cosmetics, right? Though, right?
Yeah, it's all cosmetics. It's coming out early August. Well, this month sometime. It's probably out now.
Still,
but it's just basically you purchase coins so you can buy cosmetics for certain characters, for your vehicles, whatever. But it doesn't ruin the. It doesn't like. It's not cheating you, like unlocking things that you need or whatever. It's all cosmetic based.
They're just catering to the youth that will beg their parents to buy this crap, like Fortnite.
Yeah.
Oh, Daddy, I need this new skin. Like, it's gonna make me play better.
Don't say that. Don't ever say that again.
Well, it's like, I guess on one side of it is it's giving 3D modelers work, I guess.
Yeah, like true. The game's doing really well. You could still unlock everything by playing like the Grand Prix. Like everything that you can get with this transaction bullshit, like you could still just unlock it yourself. But I guess if you really want that cosmetic, Crash.
They make you work for it. Like we played Crash Team Racing for like 8 hours. And we unlocked like maybe 4 things. Like they have like this upgrading bar, and once you reach the end, you unlock like something really worth it, like a new skin. But along the way, like an emblem, which is the worst, like a hat or a shoe, like it's just very slow progression, or new tires.
The thing though about the unlocking system, like I just keep playing the game, and then eventually I'll just collect a bunch of coins, and I'll be like, oh, eventually I'll just be like, oh cool, I can just purchase a bunch of stuff, and then I do. But I'm never like, oh, I need to unlock this costume for, this certain character. Like I need it because it will just make this game way better.
Unless you're playing the game like every night, and if you're a streamer as well, those are the only people that like invest like $300 in all these microtransactions.
Maybe. But yeah, that was it, Evan. I just wanted to mention it because it's kind of a slow news week, but I know how much you love microtransactions. So
yeah, it's really made my day at the very end there.
And then there's just one thing I just want to mention. The original Diablo that came out a long time ago. You can now play it on your web browser, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it's a cool concept.
When you say play it in your browser, like you don't have to download anything.
I don't think so.
You have to own a copy of Diablo. Like you have to own the actual game, and then you just take one of the core files of the game and then upload it to the site or load it through the site, and then you're able to play it. I believe that's how it works.
That seems like more work than just playing it normally.
Yeah, it's just a gimmick kind of thing.
Well, yeah, it's just like a file, so you can just you drag and drop, a file into a folder, and you can just begin playing it on the browser. It's really like it doesn't really make any sense. Like you're like, oh, cool. I just want to. Well, kind of. It's cool concept. Like if you're like playing on the browser, and then you kind of just want to quickly read into like an article or something, just instead of alt tabbing and stuff. But
well, folks, that's it for this week. We had a lot of great stuff. Once again, we'll continue to do some great video game reviews of AAA games, platformers, everything to make you feel nostalgic. We'll do it all for you. Just come listen to us, and we'll give you that video game advice. But for now, like and subscribe and tune in. Wait for next week's episode, which will be released every Monday. See you guys then.
Bye.